It's been a little while since I've done a good old-fashioned Q&A, so let's do this. Sketchbook is now free, my dudes! Wait, is that true? Yeah, it's true. Look, it's free now. But the pencil on the 2018 iPad is loud even when hitting the glass lightly, versus the quiet when the pencil hits the glass on the iPad Pro. Also, the glass feels very different. The Pro has a resistance to the movement that feels much better. The 2018 iPad, when drawing, was loud and slippery feeling. The iPad Pro was quiet and smooth. So in my new iPad review that I did a couple weeks ago, this was something that I didn't even notice. And the reason I didn't notice wasn't because the noise wasn't there when I was drawing on the iPad, but because I wasn't looking for it. In fact, after I posted my review and I was checking out some other people's review, like everybody else mentioned it, and I totally missed it. But sure enough, if you tap on it, it's definitely there. Here's the thing though, I don't think it's loud. It's louder, but it's not like super loud. I don't know. I didn't think it was that big a deal. As far as the screen actually feeling different when you're drawing with the pencil on the iPad Pro versus the standard iPad, I personally can't tell. I know I've said this before. A lot of people say that they can tell that there's like more resistance and it doesn't feel as slippery. To me, it feels very, very similar. I don't know. I feel like I'm not noticing anything these days. I think it's one of those things where enough people have said it that I'm starting to think that maybe there is a difference between these screens. I don't know. Just an explainer for devices being slowed down by Apple. It's only the 6S SE models, which had an error caused by random shutdowns in cold environments. In the latest iOS update, iOS 11.3, you can disable this and view the battery health. It's really overblown at this point. All right, I want to address this issue kind of big picture here. In my iPad review a couple weeks ago, I spent the last like 2 or 3 minutes talking about the cons of using an iPad over some other drawing tablet. And the only con I came up with really is the fact that it's an Apple product, and my main problem is that my iPad Pro, which is a little over 2 years old, is not as fast as it used to be. And I have several examples of that. I found probably the worst piece of footage when I used AstroPad. It was really laggy. Had been for months. There were other things that were laggy as well. The keyboard was a little bit slow. Took a little longer to launch apps. It wasn't horrendously bad in anything other than AstroPad, but I was definitely noticing some slowdowns. The one thing I do regret saying in that video is I wondered out loud if Apple was slowing down old iPads the way they were slowing down old iPhones. Obviously, I don't have any proof of this. Nobody really does. It was just conjecture on my part. It's probably not something I should have said. Since I did that review, I have upgraded to iOS 11.3. It had just come out a couple days before I had done the review, so I hadn't had the opportunity to update to that on my iPad Pro. It turns out that seems to have really sped it up, and AstroPad is working much better now. I also had the opportunity to chat with somebody who works over at Apple. I don't think I can say where he works. No, it's not Applebee's. Anyway, he told me that another thing that I should be aware of is don't keep my iPad too full. Keep a couple gigs empty. If your hard drive fills up, that often affects the performance, and sure enough, my iPad only had like 1.5 gigs free, and I freed up some more room. That may have helped it as well. The thing that really did kind of surprise me is that the advice I got for how to speed up my iPad was like all over the map. Some people said I should be closing programs. Some people said I should do like a full reboot. Some people said I just shouldn't ever update iOS. Oftentimes when I get something wrong, there's really a consensus of how to fix it. And this was one of those things where I just got advice all over the map. Some of it I know is false, is just kind of old wives' tale type stuff out there, and some of that sounds legit. You know, if you do like a factory reset, that is going to clear off your hard drive. That is going to help. Anyway, I did want to take that opportunity to just kind of address that and mention that, and that is something I do regret saying in my review. Hey Brad, do you know any good animation apps on the iPad? No, I don't. I've downloaded several. I'm not really hot on any of them. They're all kind of meh. Some of them are gimmicky. Some of them just aren't fully featured enough. I'm still looking into it though. Hey Brad, what's the best pro iPad app for drawing? Procreate or Affinity Photo? It depends on what you need. Personally, I really like drawing in Procreate. However, a lot of folks prefer Affinity Photo. The main reason is Affinity Photo just has more features. For example, if you use a lot of text in your work, you're probably gonna wanna go with Affinity Photo. Can't do that in Procreate. There's vector shapes, things like that. So if you're used to a desktop app where you just want more features, check that out. Also worth checking out is Clip Studio that's now on the iPad. That's really good. Hey Brad, did you add a matte screen protector to your Surface? I did not. The reason why is the Surface Pen has a rubbery tip. That gives me the kind of gripping feel that I want on the smooth glass screen. I think a matte screen protector would probably rip up that grip pretty good. Also, the Surface Pen that I got came with extra nibs. Do I have those? I might have them right here. I have the box. This one doesn't have any nibs. Well, even though this one doesn't have any nibs, you can buy like an extra set of like harder nibs. So if you'd prefer to draw on a matte screen, you could, but I would recommend changing the tip of your Surface Pen before you do. I also got a lot of questions on my animated video about my worst client ever. So I Googled Googled fruit exploding. There are like endless photos. Okay, let me explain something. I'm old, and that story happened to me like 10 years ago, 12 years ago? I don't know, it's been a long time. I Googled it too. You can find a lot of fruit exploding. You could not find fruit exploding back then. I wish you could, but I wouldn't have gotten a good video out of it if I had. I got this. Here's an apple stuffed with Semtex. I'll take a picture if you'll just hold it for a minute. Semtex explosive? I don't want to hold that. To be honest with you, I take your client's side. Why couldn't you just explode a fruit and take pictures of it? Another fruit question. Here's the thing. If you know a little bit about photography, and I know this much about photography, I know enough about the photography to know that it's harder than it looks. I gotta get the lighting right. I gotta get the colors looking right. I gotta get the frame rate right. If I just set up an apple in my backyard and blew it up and filmed it and then grabbed the best image, it just doesn't work like that. It might be a piece of fruit exploding, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good enough to stick on a book cover. I know a million people are gonna be like, no, I could do it. Go for it, have at it. Actually, that'd be kind of a cool video, blowing up fruit, taking photos of it. My camera takes 60 frames per second. You probably need something that's gonna do a lot more than that. If you use your phone or something like that, it's just gonna get all blurry. How hard is it to explode fruit and take a pic? How many people are gonna ask this? Precisely why would it have cost so much to take a picture of exploding fruit? Apple, firecracker, Lexan sheet, camera. Did I miss anything? Oh. Fixed bid project. Even if he agrees to a larger payment, you'd be a slave until you died. Fixed bid projects are great. You make more money. I like this back and forth. There were several comments like this where people were talking about their experience like bidding different ways on different projects and how they structure their agreements with their clients. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Some people I know love fixed bid projects because if they say, hey, it's gonna be like $5,000 worth of my work and they can do it in $2,000 worth of time, they end up making a profit. That's great. Personally, I've always done hourly. That's always worked best for me. When I'm working hourly, it lets me go back and say, hey, if you want to add this feature, this is how much more it's going to be, or we have to sign off on it. It's just a matter of what you're comfortable with, and what's really important is just being really honest and really clear when you're structuring that project. That seemed like a pretty good batch of questions. I'm gonna close it up for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back in a couple of days with another video, and I will see you then.